Imagine living in a world where you have absolutely zero right to own property simply because you were born female. Now imagine being brave enough to challenge that system thousands of years ago and actually winning. This isn't just ancient history, it's a revolutionary precedent that impacts how we think about justice and equality today. What you're about to learn about these 5 sisters from the Bible will completely transform how you understand women's rights movements and the evolution of property law across civilizations. By the end of this video, you'll discover how a single legal case from over 3,000 years ago created ripples that shaped inheritance laws across multiple cultures and religions. This forgotten story from the Book of Numbers contains the blueprint for how to challenge unjust systems, and I've uncovered details most religious scholars never mention. The year is roughly 1250 BCE. The Israelites are wandering in the desert after their exodus from Egypt. Moses is establishing laws for the new nation, including rules about property inheritance. And the prevailing law is simple. Land passes from father to son. Daughters? They get nothing. This system ensured tribal lands stayed within patrilineal bloodlines. Practical for the time, perhaps, but devastating if you were a woman whose father had no sons. Enter the 5 daughters of Zelophehad: Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. Their father has died during the wilderness wanderings, leaving no sons. According to existing law, his property would pass to his brothers or male relatives, leaving his daughters with nothing. But these women refuse to accept this injustice. What happens next is extraordinary. They approach Moses, Eleazar the priest, the leaders, and the entire assembly at the entrance of the tent of meeting, essentially the supreme court of their day. Picture this dramatic scene: 5 women standing before the gathered leaders of their nation, challenging the established order. Why should our father's name disappear from his clan because he had no son? They ask. Give us property among our father's relatives. Their argument is brilliant in its simplicity. They don't just plead for personal benefit, they frame their request in terms of preserving their father's legacy within the tribe. They appeal to fairness while respecting the underlying values of their society. Moses, unsure how to respond, takes the matter directly to God. And here's where it gets revolutionary. God sides with the women. What Zelophehad's daughters are saying is right, comes the divine verdict. Moses is instructed to give them their father's inheritance and to establish a new precedent. If a man dies without sons, his inheritance should pass to his daughters. This ruling represents one of the earliest recorded legal reforms expanding women's property rights in history. Think about that. At a time when women were largely considered property themselves in most ancient societies, these 5 sisters successfully argued for their right to inherit land. The significance of this case extends far beyond a single-family inheritance. It established a legal principle that would influence inheritance laws in Judaism, Christianity, and even aspects of Islamic inheritance traditions. In fact, some legal scholars see echoes of the Zelophehad precedent in modern inheritance laws across multiple legal systems. What's particularly fascinating is how this case created a template for legal reform. The daughters identified an injustice, presented their case to the appropriate authorities, made arguments based on values the community already held, and achieved a lasting change. This pattern has been repeated countless times throughout history by those seeking to expand rights and correct inequities. But the story doesn't end with their victory. Numbers 36 records a subsequent challenge from the male tribal leaders who worry about tribal lands transferring to other tribes through marriage. This leads to a refinement of the new law. Daughters who inherit must marry within their father's tribe to keep the land within tribal boundaries. While this might seem like a limitation to modern ears, it represents a practical compromise that preserved the core victory. Women could inherit property. The daughters comply with this condition, marrying their cousins and keeping their inheritance within their tribe. This demonstrates their pragmatic understanding that sustainable change often requires compromise and respect for legitimate competing interests. What makes this story so powerful is that it occurred within an intensely patriarchal society, yet still resulted in expanded rights for women. It shows that even in seemingly rigid systems, There can be space for positive change when people are willing to make principled arguments and when leaders are open to reconsidering established practices. Archaeological evidence from ancient Israel supports the historical significance of this legal change. Land deed documents from later periods show women as property owners, suggesting the Zelophehad precedent had real-world impact. Some scholars believe this case may have influenced property rights in neighboring cultures as well, though definitive evidence remains elusive. So what are the key lessons we can take from these 5 remarkable sisters? First, that meaningful change often begins with the courage to question unjust systems, even when the odds seem overwhelming. Second, that effective advocacy frames arguments in terms that resonate with existing values. Third, that legal precedents, once established, can create ripples of change that extend far beyond their original context. And finally, that the struggle for equal rights has deep historical roots, stretching back through millennia of human civilization. The Daughters of Zelophehad remind us that the quest for justice is as old as humanity itself. What would these 5 sisters think if they could see how property rights have evolved today? In most modern societies, women can own property, inherit equally with male siblings, and control their own financial destiny. While perfect equality remains elusive in many parts of the world, the fundamental principle these sisters fought for, that gender alone shouldn't determine economic rights, has largely prevailed. Their story teaches us that meaningful change is possible, even in seemingly unchangeable systems. It shows us that justice sometimes requires challenging established norms, and it reminds us that courageous individuals can create ripples of change that continue for generations. If you found this exploration of ancient women's rights fascinating, you're going to love our videos on forgotten female leaders in religious texts, how ancient legal systems shaped modern laws, and biblical women who defied expectations. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss these upcoming deep dives into history's most fascinating stories. Leave a comment below sharing which aspect of the Zelophehad story surprised you most. Was it their boldness in challenging the system, God's direct endorsement of their case, or the lasting impact on inheritance law? And if you know someone interested in women's history, biblical studies, or legal development, share this video with them right now. They'll thank you for introducing them to these 5 remarkable sisters who changed the course of property rights forever.